One of the most difficult tasks in a guru's life is converting a person steeped in mundaneness to someone light and airy in spirituality. The journey of ups and downs, or snakes and ladders if you may, requires constant effort from the guru and faith from the disciple for the partnership to evolve northwards. Often destiny provides a ladder that looks like a snake, be it physical or any other kind of sorrow. Often a snake in life is required before the climb. Even thereafter, the guru keeps testing to see the results. Spiritual snakes and ladders. A man who knew in advance what marks we would score in the question paper did not need to take any test, and yet he did. Most of us failed most of his tests, but he used them to help us reflect, regroup, and reattempt. Being a lethal fast bowler during his overs of spiritual training, Gurudev knew he could clean bowl us whenever he wanted, but he encouraged us to score a century before that eventuality. He wanted his disciples to soar higher than him spiritually. That explained his patience and persistence. Sometimes the tests were so subtle that we were unaware that we were being tested. Once Gurudev tested Rajpalji in my presence. I was sitting with him on the first floor of his Curzon Road office when someone paid him a visit. Gurudev said to him, "Go and take Rajpal's car. You can use it and return it after having finished the job at hand." Well, after the visitor had left the room to meet Rajpalji, who was waiting on the ground floor, Gurudev said, "I have told Rajpal that he is not allowed to give his car to anyone, and now I have asked someone to take the car keys from him." He concluded with the words, "Ab dekhte hain wo kya karta hai. Let me see what he does now." I was amused and eager to see how Rajpalji would fare. Sure enough, he was a shrewd and clever man. He walked into Gurudev's office with his car keys, left them on the table, and quickly walked out saying, "Guruji, here are my car keys." When he left, Gurudev was in splits. He laughed and said, "Shrewd fellow, he has managed to outwit the test." For Gurudev, there was always another day. He would not relent until he had pitched away the shortcomings of his disciples. Rajpalji was once again at the receiving end when Zorro rode again. Let's hear the story in Ravi Trehanji's words.
माहौल कुछ ऐसा था कि एक बड़ा गुरुद्वार था, सेक्टर 7 में सेवा हो रही थी। कुछ शिष्य लोग नीचे हॉल में बैठे सेवा कर रहे थे। एक सिस्टम होता था गुरुजी का कि 5, 6, 7 शिष्य सेवा कर रहे हैं तो 2-3 घंटे के बाद उनको थोड़ा रेस्ट करने के लिए बोलते थे, आप आधा घंटा रेस्ट कराओ फिर लौट के आके सेवा करना। तो वो रेस्ट पीरियड में हम लोग क्या सीढ़ियों में बैठे थे। राजपाल जी थे, मैं था, 1-2 शिष्य और भी थे। राजपाल जी को गाने का शौक है, तो मैंने उनसे कहा, राजपाल जी फलां गजल बहुत अच्छा आप गाते हैं, थोड़ा गुनगुना के बताइए ना। तो वो गजल उन्होंने गाई और कुछ देर के बाद जब स्थान समाप्त हुआ तो गुरुजी ने बुला के कहा कि नीचे सेवा चल रही थी और ऊपर तुम गाने गा रहे थे, क्या ये मरासियों का घर है जो तुम गाने गा रहे थे? अब उस दिन के बाद राजपाल जी का गला ऑलमोस्ट बंद हो गया, मतलब वो ठीक से बोल नहीं पा रहे थे कि तुमने ये नहीं महसूस किया कि लोग जो सेवा कराने को आए हैं वो गाने की आवाज़ सुनकर क्या मैसेज लेके जाएंगे। तो उनकी आवाज़ पर ये असर हुआ, काफ़ी देर असर रहा। फिर एक रोज़ राजपाल जी गुरुजी के साथ किसी कैंप में गए, पहाड़ों में था कैंप, अरदास की, मिन्नतें की कि मेरा गला ठीक कर दो। अच्छा ले पकड़, ये थोड़ी सी बर्फ़ खा ले, गला ठीक हो जाएगा। तो इमेजिन करें कि जिसका गला ख़राब हो कई महीनों से, मैं समझता हूँ कोई दुनिया का डॉक्टर बर्फ़ दे के तो ठीक नहीं कर सकता था। तो ये शक्तियाँ गुरुजी के पास ही थी।
As many of us have opined, surrender to a guru is key. The power of the guru is stern for the sake of necessity. His physical disposition may be kind and polite, but as his consciousness transits from the social to the divine, the power reflects those levels. In the early days, the disciples weren't well trained in the art of discipleship, erring on several occasions. One such unfortunate incident occurred with Shambhuji and is shared by his friend and colleague Suresh Kohli.
Shambhu was with me, so he was suffering from cancer.
Okay.
Then one day Guruji made a mood, दोपहर के दिन थे मई महीना, उन्होंने कहा शंभू को ठीक करना है यार। वो 4-5 एक नागपाल थे इनके साथ।
करेक्ट।
हाँ, वो सर्वे में जाते थे। तो बैठे हुए दोपहर हमने गुरुजी ने जल बनाया, जग भरा जल बनाया, माथे से लगाया, ले शंभू को पी ले। जो ही शंभू ने देखा तो उसमें कीड़े चले हुए, बड़े भारी कीड़े चले हुए। शंभू कहे इसमें कीड़े चले हुए मैं नहीं पीऊंगा जी। कहते पी ले बेटा, इसमें कोई कीड़ा नहीं है। नागपाल ने देखा कोई कीड़ा नहीं, मैंने देखा कोई कीड़ा नहीं, लेकिन वो ना पिए। कहते इसमें बहुत कीड़े जी मैं नहीं पी सकता। कहते जा तेरी किस्मत ऐसी है। फिर वो नागपाल पी गया उस जल को, तो वो जल पी नहीं सके उस वक्त।
ओके।
ऐसा था उनका, अगर वो जल पी लेते तो शायद क्या हो जाता।
Shambhuji saw worms in the jal Gurudev had made for him which were not actually there. All the others in the room verified that. Unfortunately, he trusted the delusion of his eyes rather than have faith in the words of his guru. The price? Death. Discipleship is not an easy business. Dealing with the subconscious power of a Siddh Guru needs tact and practice. One needs to learn the meaning of surrender and follow it. Often, due to familiarity and the casual behavior of the Guru, one can falter and indulge in Guru Avhelna. The power of Shiv does not easily forget that, and it ensures a lesson is learnt. Bade Jain Sahib, a disciple, erred gravely and paid the price. He lost his mental stability, and even after having received the forgiveness of Gurudev, he was not easily forgiven by some of the disciples who stopped respecting him. Bittu ji narrates a part of the story.
तो बिट्टू जी, ये जो सवाल है कि गुरुदेव अपने शिष्यों को जब सबक देते थे, तो उसके कोई कहानियां आपको ज़हन में? मतलब मैंने तो बहुत देखी थी।
जो गुरुजी उनको बात करते थे अपने बच्चों से, लेकिन उनके बारे में किसी को पता नहीं होता था। जो बात मेरे और गुरुजी के बीच में हुई है, वो मेरे और गुरुजी के बीच में हुई है। वो मतलब वो पब्लिकली नहीं होती थी, क्योंकि उनको मालूम था कि ये बात पब्लिकली हुई तो लोग उस चीज को बड़ा वो कर देंगे। उसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम्पल थे हमारे एस.के. जैन साहब। क्या हुआ, जिस जैन साहब को लोग पूछते थे, उनको उन्हीं जैन साहब को लोग, जो उनके छोटे भाई, गुरु भाई जो थे, कोई उनको गंजा कहता था, कोई उनको ओ भाई जैन क्या बात है, मतलब उनका बड़ा पब्लिकली कई बार मजाक उठता था। एस.के. जैन साहब का तो सबको मालूम है। अब मैं बताऊँ आपको, एक मिस्टर चीरा हुआ करते थे गुरुजी के ऑफिस में। एस.के. जैन साहब भी ऑफिस में थे, उसी ऑफिस में जिसमें गुरुजी काम करते थे। चीरा साहब भी उसी में काम करते थे। मैं, चीरा साहब और गुरुजी एक ही टेबल पे बैठ के डिनर कर रहे थे। तो चीरा साहब ने गुरुजी से क्वेश्चन किया, बोले गुरुजी मैं एक बात पूछूं आपसे। बोले पूछ। तो बोले जैन साहब आपके बड़े पहुंचे हुए शिष्य थे, आप लोग उनसे मिल लेते थे, बड़ी रिस्पेक्ट करते थे, और मैंने देखा था ऑफिस में भी आप नहीं मिलते थे तो लोग जैन साहब से मिलकर चले जाते थे। आज वो उनसे चीरा साहब से उम्र में भी बड़े थे जैन साहब। तो बोले आज बड़ा बुरा लगता है कि जो आपके शिष्य जो है, उनको गंजा कहता है या कोई कुछ कहता है, आपने इतना दूर उनको पहुंचा के आज उनकी ये आदत हो गई कि उनको कोई भी उनका मजाक उड़ा देता है।
Like Mr. Chira, I too was concerned about Bade Jain Sahib and how he was being treated. When I posed a similar question to Gurudev, he secretly told me that the insults directed towards Jain Sahib would make him a creditor to those treating him poorly, and that would wash away his sins, so to speak. Sometimes it was hard to give explanations because it brought out too many secrets. Jain Sahib had come under the influence of a power that gave him darshan in the form of Shiv. Jain Sahib also realized that he himself was Shiv, and that was hard for him to digest. He lost the balance of his mind and threatened to even destroy Gurudev. This was due to the instability that his mind was going through. His own Atma made him suffer a bout of insanity, and thereafter a fall from grace publicly. His destiny was not to progress more than what he already had. Now let's move forward in a different direction. One of Gurudev's teaching techniques was the use of reverse psychology. He often egged us on while saying things opposite to what he believed. The idea was to see who fell into the trap and who didn't. Gurudev said in passing that he wanted to see how fickle his disciples were, so he encouraged their superficialities to that end. Many got caught in the trap that he had set. He assessed these failings and changed the spiritual curriculum to fill the gaps. Even though mending his disciples was the battle of the decade, he never gave up on them. Puranji recalls a few more incidents involving disciples who were tested by Gurudev. So did he take a lot of tests of his disciples?
Yes.
And are you conscious of any of those tests that he took?
Captain Sharma.
What was that?
Captain Sharma demanded desi ghee in his food. तो इसे मैं वहाँ खाना नहीं खाऊंगा, मैं यहाँ खाऊंगा, मैं ब्राह्मण मुझे देसी घी चाहिए। ऐसे देसी घी खिलाया उसको, you couldn't eat लेने बाद में खाना उसको बंद हो गया। So sick, you couldn't eat anything यार।
For how long?
हाँ?
For years?
Almost a year, साल से ज़्यादा हो सकता है।
साल से ज़्यादा।
Yes, yes.
This was not a punishment meant for demanding desi ghee. It was to discipline a disciple who fussed a lot, acted tough with those serving him, and asked for too much attention. Sant Lalji got into double trouble in his initial days. He lied to Gurudev and so received his punishment, the unresolvable itch. The Hindi word for it is kharish. The punishment got him into further trouble with a lady senior. Amidst awkwardness and embarrassment, he had guts to tell the tale. The tiger of Sonipat showcases a broken tooth.
मैं जहाँ पोस्टेड था एक दफा रोहतक, तो मेरी जो बॉस थी वो लेडी थी
जी,
बंगाल
जी,
बंगाल। तो जैसे खारिश होती है बेटे, खारिश के लिए, तो उसने मेरे एक डॉक्टर सिक्का हुआ करते थे हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट इंचार्ज, उसको शिकायत कर दी कि जी वो ऐसा है, ये बदमाश है, मुझे छेड़ता है। क्योंकि खारिश होती थी तो मैं खारिश तो करता था। फिर मैं गुरु जी के पास आया, मैं महाराज एक कृपा करो। मैंने कहा जी ये बात है, आप मेरे कोई रेमेडी करो। आप मानेंगे नहीं कि सरिया होता है ना,
हाँ जी,
आयरन रॉड,
हाँ जी,
उससे मैं किया करता था, ब्लड आ जाता था लग। वाइट कपड़ा डालते थे, वाइट शर्ट, तो 2 बार बदलना पड़ता था, ब्लड लग जाता था, बुनैन ली और वो। तो मैंने कहा गुरु जी ऐसा ऐसा है, और वो लेट डॉक्टर वो भी जाती थी स्थान पर, तो ये उसने ब्लेम भी लगाया है मेरे ऊपर। आप बताओ अगर मैं ऐसा हूं तो मैं अपने बड़ा बहुत ऐसे कहते, ऐसी नहीं बात, कोई बात। तो फिर उन्होंने अपने ही लेवल पर ऐसा कर दिया कि 9 बजते ही मेरी ईचिंग बंद।
वाह, रात की 9
नहीं, दिन में 9 बजे
हाँ जी,
ऑफिस
हाँ
था ना
जी।
जी, और 5 बजते ही शुरू।
वाह मतलब बाय द क्लॉक।
हाँ जी, देखो घड़ी देखो, जैसे शुरू में कल भैया 5 बज गए, चालू हो गई, चलो।
And Sant Lalji was also an arrogant public servant who used his bureaucratic powers to the hilt. Gurudev worked his magic and turned this tiger into a saint, one who was empathetic, considerate, of service to many, and a little arrogant still. Sant Lalji's progress was quick fire, and Gurudev taught him many secrets, one of which he shares openly.
एक सिंपल छोटी सी बात बता देता हूँ, ज्यादा नहीं बता पाऊंगा। मैं किसी अच्छी पोस्ट से था
जी।
जो मैं वहां जाने के बाद मैंने खुद VRS ले ली, और जो लंगर खाते हैं ना लोग,
हाँ जी।
तो लंगर पत्तलों में, क्योंकि लाखों आदमी होते थे, हजारों नहीं लाखों,
जी जी।
तो पत्तल होते थे,
जी।
तो पत्तल को उनके आगे से इकट्ठा करना खाने के बाद
जी।
मतलब मैं ऐसी पोस्ट पर था कि मेरे लिए तो ये संभव भी नहीं था कि मैं ऐसा काम कर पाऊँ। तो उन्होंने मेरी ड्यूटी लगा दी कि ये इकट्ठे करके बोरों में भरते, एंड आई डिड इट।
जी।
मतलब बड़ी खुशी से मैंने वो किया। बाद में मुझे एहसास हुआ कि मैं तो वाकई अहम में था कि कोई मुझे कह दे, मैं ये सोच नहीं सकता था, और कहने के बाद करना तो दरकिनार, कहना भी, पर क्योंकि वो गुरुदेव थे मैंने दिल से मान लिया था उनको, तो इसलिए जो भी वो कहते थे वो हमारे लिए हुक्म होता था
जी।
तो उस अहंकार को इस तरह धोया उन्होंने मेरा। तो
उस दिन के बाद से अहंकार मतलब खत्म हो गया?
खत्म तो ये चीजें कहाँ होती हैं, बात ये है बाकी हाँ मिनिमाइज तो हो गया, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं। क्योंकि उन्होंने सेवा देनी थी, तो सेवा देने से पहले वो हर तरह से ह्यूमिलेशन से भी बचाना है, महसूस भी ना हो और काम भी हो जाए, तो ये उनका वे था। बाकी रही बात कि उसके बाद सच्चाई तो ये है कि मैं किसी को समझता नहीं था उस समय।
अच्छा जी।
आई वॉज क्वाइट यंग, और मेरी जॉब भी ऐसी थी कि जिसने आना है उसने हाथ जोड़ कर खड़े होना है
जी।
तो उसमें भी थोड़ा सा अहम तो आ ही जाता है ना।
राइट।
बाकी उसके बाद मुझे बहुत एहसास हुआ।
I had a wonderful relationship with Sant Lalji. In fact, both of us attained the prapti of Guru Charan simultaneously. Though religious sounding this, the attainment of Guru Charan means the activation of that chakra in your head and beyond. When consciousness can traverse to that level of the forehead chakra, can one qualify for this attainment? Some of the stories cited in this podcast point the arrow towards the concept of Guru Avhelna, a subject hardly understood by most. It is neither the annoyance of the Guru nor an insult towards him. It is neither disobedience to him nor engaging in lies to him. It is probably a combination of all the above. The result is punishment to square it off so that it does not remain a stock in trade. Punishment, therefore, is a backhanded act of grace by the Guru, one that I shared the privilege of receiving along with Rajpal ji, Sant Lal ji, Bade Jain Sahab, Malhotra ji, and others. Sometimes punishment for Guru Avhelna can be awarded, if I am allowed to use the oxymoron, either directly or by the Jivatma of the person not wanting to carry forward accounts. Roshni cites an example of Guru Avhelna that clearly shows it was a punishment she had awarded herself. She took her own sweet time, of course, but then she is a laid-back person. Gurudev responded and nullified that Avhelna, and unlike her, He hardly took time to respond. Do you think he possibly knew that one day she would be his biographer? I wonder.
So, according to you, what exactly is Guru Avhelna?
Let me explain what Guru Avhelna is through my own example. Many years back, I was going through a period of intense negativity and had a crisis of faith during this period. Now, I don't know what I said or did that would qualify as Guru Avhelna during this period, but interestingly, after this period of negativity ended, I think a few weeks or a month or so after it, I saw myself in a dream tell somebody that I had committed Guru Avhelna during that period of negativity that I had just come out of. So a few years passed after this dream experience, and sometime, I think in the summer of 2015, I woke up one morning with very intense pain on the left side of my body. So I went to a doctor to get it checked after a few days of waiting to see whether the pain would abate. And when I went to the doctor said that I was suffering from colitis, and he prescribed the medication to me. Now, despite taking the medication, my condition did not get better. And, strangely enough, all through this ordeal, I almost intuitively knew that I was being punished for the Guru Avhelna that I had committed many years before. In fact, no medicine helped me. My condition kept getting worse. It came to a point where I couldn't sleep properly at night. I couldn't consume food other than rice and dal. Then after 3.5 months of being in this condition, I was very, very disturbed one night and very depressed as well. And I requested Gurudev mentally. I said, I'm requesting you to come and help me. So about 2 or 3 days after I had mentally requested him, he came in a dream. And when I woke up the next morning, the pain that I was suffering from for 3.5 months before this dream experience happened had just completely vanished. And I was back to normalcy. So I had seen the impact of Guru Avhelna, and then I had seen the Guru Kripa manifest as well.
So, in effect, it was the Guru's Kripa that helped you tide over Guru Avhelna, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
Gurudev was generous even in punishment, as he let us get away with a few physical strains. I got a sprain, painful no doubt, but it was a 3-day affair. Rajpal Sekhri got away with a couple of months of sore throat, Santlalji with some itch here and there, but Jain Saab got a little bonus. In fact, more than just a little. All these were nothing in comparison to the punishment meted out by some other gurus, vengeful ones. I am aware of a guru who on multiple occasions would not allow a lady's pregnancy to last beyond 4 months due to Avhelna. Eventually, she came for help to Gurudev and was one of the first patients when Gurudev started a sthan at Shivpuri in Gurgaon. I have dealt with a family that visits Lalji Sthan in Toronto, whose ex-guru and his disciple have been constantly attacking them in the dream state, hindering their well-being. Unfortunately, Guru Avhelna is not easy to wish away, and its consequences need to be borne. Here is another thought. So, Gurudev was hardly interested in studies at school, correct? Therefore, he must have hated tests and exams, correct? But he loved to take tests of all his disciples, correct? Therefore, is that a sign of fair play? His tests were wild and wacky, and they continue in his afterlife. There is no way to escape his scrutiny. Dr. Shankar Narayan joins in. Gurudev probably wanted to test his levels of pride and egotism. he asked him to take a mantra from Malhotraji, clearly establishing the spiritual hierarchy. But after a couple of days, told him that he does not need to touch Malhotraji's feet as a sign of respect. Then he waited to see the reaction. But the simple doctor still went and showed respect to his office junior and spiritual senior, and accidentally pleased the mahaguru.
एक दिन बात करते करते उन्होंने कहा मल्होत्रा जी कुछ नहीं है, उनका पाँव छूने की जरूरत नहीं है. He said, of course, at the same time I tell you, after actually two mantras, the main mantra is the first thing, that Maha Mrityunjay Jap. He asked me to go to Malhotra ji and get that job. Malhotra ji was a technical assistant in my office, but I went in the morning and got. So that's how I always respected Malhotra ji. But that particular day, he told, वो कुछ नहीं है, उनके पाँव छूने की जरूरत नहीं, पाँव छूना. Then I told, मैं कुछ भी आंसर नहीं किया, हाँ कहा ना कहा. Then all of a sudden next morning Malhotra ji arrived to my house as usual. So I opened the door and saw him, and he never comes in the morning like that. What is the thing in him? मैंने वो आते हैं उनको I touched his feet. Malhotra did not stay there even then, few minutes. He went back. And then I started going to office. Then I got afraid. तो गुरु जी ने कहा था इनका पाँव छूना नहीं है, आज मैं छू लिया, कुछ होगा मेरे लिए. Then I went to the office. As usual, Guruji used to sit in the sand sample room. So he was sitting. When I went there, he was very serious. You have purchased me today. आपने मुझे आज खरीद लिया. Then I was happy. So what he wanted, his test was actually I passed the test and I went back.
I must be Mr. Envy himself, because I can't understand how Dr. Shankar Narayan claims to have passed so many tests. I failed almost all. Do you think because he was a senior in office, he was secretly handed over the question papers before the answer sheets? I wonder. Rajiv ji, who has been doing seva for close to 30 years, has an insightful story of a disciple being put through a gauntlet of fire just to test his or her capabilities.
There's this case which comes to mind of a person who came to the Stan, and it really put this phrase in the front of my mind, The phrase is, he moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. And just listen to this, it's quite an amazing thing. So there's this person who came to the Stan, and he had a really incurable and life-threatening disease. And, he was put under treatment, but normal treatment techniques were hardly used on him. He was just asked to sit around, talk to different people visiting the Stan. And sure, his photo was put on a remote treatment group, but there were only marginal results. And then a message came from the Guru to think outside the box. And so this guy was made to do very different types of things. He'd be spoken to extremely curtly and sometimes even rudely. And he was made to do menial tasks like sweeping the floor of the Stan before and after seva. And there was certainly no politeness in the way he was dealt with. Gotta hand it to the guy. He did all this without a murmur. And just with this strange type of treatment, he's today 85 to 90% cured, and he's doing seva at the Stan. So that out-of-the-box thinking really worked.
Let's shift gears to something else. What Sant Lalji and most of us also experienced on several occasions was Guru Kripa. Kripa sounds like a word that is small, but it has a meaning that is large. Guru Kripa signifies the grace to fulfill life's purpose, to be protected, to be corrected, punished if required, but finally to be freed from the tentacles of karma, senses, attachments, and the bouquet that goes along. It was Gurudev's mission to help us see ourselves as divinity personified. He said, I have traversed the universe or the Brahmand, but I have not seen God. Whatever that is, it is inside you. We never reference the scriptures or concepts like Advaita, etc. He never used terms like Aham Brahmasmi. He shared such cosmic realities in simple terms, in ekvakyas. Sumant interviews Aditya, once patient, later follower, and now a sevadar, who gives back by healing others.
Aditya, please tell me what first brought you to this Sthan in Bombay? And what was it that brought you there? And then what was it that made you keep coming back? Because you've been a visitor to this Sthan for many years, as I understand.
In 2006, I was going through my own personal issues in life, and my mother's very close friend told my mom about the Sthan, and my mother got me along once to the Sthan. I had gone through my divorce at that time, and I was and I had gone through a brain stroke regarding that, and I was not in my senses when emotionally I was very disturbed when I came there, and I got 101% relief from the Sthan completely, and that's how my faith also kept growing with the Sthan.
You were at that point in time certain that it was a Sthan that helped you and not some medical intervention by doctors?
I would just say that you come to the Sthan. The Sthan does healing there. It gives you a guidance. But the episode that happens after meeting the right doctor, the right time, things start falling in its place. So I just believe that there is a grace from your Guru, from the Sthan, that makes things happen.
The grace of the Guru often has a multiplier effect. Guddanji went from a serious patient to a serious saint in just a few months, and Gurudev's first outstation Sthan came up at Kanpur at her home. Her brother Surindarji narrates this tale of grace.
तो सुरेंद्र जी आप बताएं कि आप गुरुदेव के कांटेक्ट में कैसे आए?
क्योंकि सारी चीजें जाती तो क्रेडिट गुरु जी को है, मतलब जो उन्होंने हम लोगों को बुलाया, हमारा उसके अंदर कोई अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं है। लेकिन अगर वैसे देखा जाए एक मतलब किसी कहना जाए जिसकी वजह से हम लोग आए कारण है, तो वो यही गुरुजन है जिसकी वजह से हम लोग गुरु जी के पास में आए। ये मतलब बीमार थी, काफी तकलीफ में थी, और आज से नहीं, जिस समय ये बहुत छोटी थी, 5 साल की थी, तभी से उनको बीमारियां थी। आर्थराइटिस मेन बीमारी थी इनकी, जिसके इनके हाथ पैर जो है जोड़ सारे सब स्वेल हो जाते थे, और उसका ट्रीटमेंट कितना होता था लेकिन कोई फायदा नहीं हुआ किसी भी लेवल के ऊपर। उसी सिलसिले में हम लोग गुरु जी के कांटेक्ट में आए कि हमको पता लगा कि मतलब ऐसे गुरु जी हैं जिनकी वजह से मतलब उसके अंदर एक था, गुरु जी ने उस समय कह रखा था कि हम कोई दवाई नहीं चलाते हैं। जैसा हमको खबर लगी थी उस हिसाब से कि भाई दवाई तो यहीं से बंद करनी पड़ेगी। अगर ये सोच लो कि इनको गुरु जी के पास ले जाना है तो दवाई नहीं दे सकते।
तो कितने सालों से ये तकलीफ चल रही थी?
आप समझ लीजिए 14 ईयर्स से ज्यादा ही हो गया, क्योंकि कहीं रह ही नहीं गया था कि दवाई छोड़ने से कुछ होगा। तो भाई दवाई छोड़ दो, तो हम लोगों ने सोच लिया था कि ये खत्म हो जाएगी बिल्कुल, अब इसका सवाल ही नहीं उठता। लेकिन ये गुरु जी के इंस्पिरेशन था, गुरु जी के अपने वो थे कि गुरु जी ने कहा जब हमको अच्छा ये चीज गुरु जी ने उस समय नहीं कही थी कि मतलब दवाई छोड़नी पड़ेगी। ये हमको जो खबर लगी थी उसके हिसाब से था कि गुरु जी ने दवाई नहीं करने देनी है। इनके दिमाग में आ गया कि हमको गुरु जी के पास ही ले चलो।
फर्स्ट कांटेक्ट पे क्या बातचीत हुई गुरुदेव?
देखिए गुरु जी से तो कोई खास बातचीत नहीं हुई, क्योंकि गुरु जी उस समय अपने बगल में ये शिवपुरी में गुरु जी का रेजिडेंस हुआ करता था, और वो बहुत छोटा अपार्टमेंट था। वहां से 2 कमरे थे गुरु जी के पास में, एक कमरे में गुरु जी स्थान बना रखा था, एक कमरे में अपना लिविंग कर रखा था। गुरु जी वहां गए, उन्होंने इनका देखा, उस समय इनका पैर जो है दाहिना पैर ये यहाँ से यो बैंड हो गया था, मतलब अंगूठा इस साइड में था, ये उंगली इस साइड में थी,
यानी कि पूरा पैर
पूरा यूं बिल्कुल। लेकिन जैसे ये है इस साइड से पैर होकर के ये होता है इस जॉइंट से, अंगूठा इस साइड में 180 के ऊपर, अंगूठा इस साइड में था, उंगली इस साइड में थी। अब जब ये पैर इधर मुड़ा हुआ है और घुटने सूजे हैं तो चारपाई से पैर नीचे रख ही नहीं सकती।
कपड़ा भी लग जाए तो हम तर्क से खिला देते, इतना तेज था।
जिस तरह लोग गुरु जी आया अपना ऐसे स्थान के सामने बगल में, स्थान भी बड़ा छोटा था, इसी तरह छोटा सा स्थान गुरु जी का उसका, बस वहीं पे बगल में दीवान के ऊपर अपना आके गुरु जी बैठ गए और इनको हम नीचे दिए हुए थे। तो गुरु जी ने इनको दो मिनट देखा, खड़े जाकर जहाँ ज्वाइंट जहाँ से टर्न किया हुआ था एक हाथ वहां रखा उन्होंने गुरु जी और एक हाथ पैर यहाँ लगाया। विद इन 2 to 3 मिनट्स ये अंगूठा मतलब पैर यूं मुड़ता तो सीधा कर दिया। तो इनसे का दर्द हुआ? इनका नहीं।
तो गुरुदेव ने 2 मिनट में पैर सीधा कर।
आई थिंक 2 मिनट भी हमने कुछ ज्यादा ही बताया होगा।
और आप सब ये देख रहे थे तो आप क्या हैरान रह गए कि आपकी क्या फीलिंग हुई?
उस समय हैरान वाली कोई चीज ही नहीं थी। हम लोग देख रहे थे कि ये तो मिरेकल हो रहा है।
Faith is one of the ways a person can jump off the snake and onto a ladder. The result could be an improvement in physical, commercial, or spiritual pursuits. Lack of faith could facilitate one's descent. Ravi Trehanji, a disciple, has written an Urdu couplet in praise of the Mahaguru.
अपने गुरु का हाथ बस बेफिक्र होके थाम ले, अपने गुरु का हाथ बस बेफिक्र होके थाम ले, कह दे तेरी मर्जी मुझे हर हाल में मंजूर है, कह दे तेरी मर्जी मुझे हर हाल में मंजूर है।
The grace of the Guru shows itself in multiple ways. Protection is one of them. One of the forms of protection is from yourself, your temptations, senses, and other such pitfalls as the snakes and ladders take over. Another form of protection is how so many accidents were either averted or diluted thanks to his grace or Kripa. An example of this is cited by Giriji.
Once I was coming from Nasik to Mumbai by road, me, my wife and my daughter and my driver. So we were just getting down from last ghat of Kasara Ghats when you come to Bombay from Nasik. So my wife said, be careful, drive aram se, you might meet an accident. And I think within 2 minutes of that, we met a major accident of my life. The car went down in the ditch. The car fell down in a 20-feet ditch down. So, but nothing happened. Car was totally scrapped. It overturned. And nothing happened to driver, to my wife, my daughter and my driver. We were all untouched, completely untouched. We came out from the car.
As we believe in family ties, Giriji's sister-in-law Punchu features next.
I remember when my mother passed away, she passed away so nicely, It seems she was sitting on her bed and my father came in the room and he saw her hold her hands in front of Guruji's photograph. And he went out and after, I think half an hour, he came in the room and she was gone already. And in the morning, Surinderji from Chicago, he had called up and he called up my father and he said, Bhabiji chale gaye? So my father said, how did you know? He said, in the morning I got a dream that Guruji was coming from Punjabi Bagh and I asked him, Guruji, why did you go to Punjabi Bagh so early in the morning? And Guruji said, Beta, I had to go for Kulshan today. That's how he came to know that my mother had passed away.
I have half a thought that all Gurudev's disciples and devotees who have passed on probably spend time with him and assist him in his mission from the beyond. I'm not going to call this an afterlife party because it may not be the right thing to say in a serious podcast like this one. Personally, I await joining this gang that serves ethereally. To sign off, I would say that the moral of this story is even the mighty can fall, even the mediocre can rise. But after every rise, there is a fall and vice versa. The ability of consciousness to oscillate ensures this up-down movement. Our recommendation is, do not let the snakes scare you or the ladders make you walk on the clouds. By observing what is happening to you, your thoughts, and other forms of self-reflection, the rise and falls will shift upward from the equator to higher latitudes. Faith becomes a tool for such an ascent. Faith allows destiny but shields the impact. So be it. Urdu poetry sometimes says it with greater flair. Faizan, an Urdu poet, has this to say: सुनते हैं तेरे दर पर बदलती हैं किस्मतें, सुनते हैं तेरे दर पर बदलती हैं किस्मतें, हाजिर हैं अपना भी मुकद्दर लिए हुए, अपना भी मुकद्दर लिए हुए।